I will never forget the impression I had when I went there for the first time. I did not expect and did not imagine to feel anything more than a visual effect and a passing interest that such a landmark exists in Lithuania. Yet I felt something very special. I think I can explain it as an intense spiritual concentration. It was a phenomenon that revealed that the people who traveled here came with profound belief, and somehow they left part of this belief behind them. It is still present. The small hill was of great significance. It was a symbol of the Lithuanian spirit. Meanwhile, what was Lithuania? Lithuania was considered to be one of the Soviet Union's provinces, one of the republics. If the hill had been full of red stars with such slogans as "Long live the Communist Party," they would have put up these things themselves.
On the southeast corner of the Baltic coast, the seagoing traveler discovers a low-lying land, Lithuania. Country of 1,000 lakes, meandering rivers, primeval forests, old villages. The severe yet mystical beauty of its landscapes conjures an echo of ancient times. Historically, Lithuania traded throughout the world Baltic gold, amber, a symbol of happiness. Over the past 200 years, however, this wealth has not seemed to bring the happiness promised. Throughout history, Lithuania has suffered invasions from Sweden, Germany, and Russia. Small wonder that one of the most typical aspects of Lithuanian landscape remains the fortified hills. Jurgaičių Hill, a few kilometers north of Šiauliai city, is one such example. According to historians, the mound was also used since pagan times as a place of worship. Here, the sacred fire was maintained by young priestesses. Early Lithuanians worshipped nature and natural objects, such as carved wooden monuments called krikščiai. With the arrival of Christianity in 1251, they were replaced by crosses, henceforth placed at crossroads and throughout the countryside. Since then, Lithuania, the last country of Europe to be baptized, has been called the Land of Crosses. There are many legends describing how the first crosses appeared on this hill, which local people named the Hill of Crosses. Historical evidence, though, dates the very first crosses after the years 1830 and 1863, following two important uprisings of the Lithuanian nation against the Russian annexations. From then on, it seems as if the whole of Lithuanian history has converged in this hill.
I am now a folk artist. I have gained recognition. In those days, however, I fully realized that they could come and arrest or punish me at any time. I felt that I was being pressured. Some of my works were not admitted to official exhibitions. They would say that my artistic themes were not suitable. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. But the nation needed a cross carver. It was a form of resistance against the occupation.
Many crosses would share the fate of the famous 3 crosses of Vilnius. The teaching of catechism was prohibited. Most churches and all monasteries were closed or turned into warehouses.
During this period, this small hill signified to the whole nation a challenge and a resistance to the occupation. For the young Christians, who lived under the motto, God and homeland, it came to symbolize their homeland.
The Lithuanians responded with hammer and chisel to the Soviet hammer and sickle. The Hill of Crosses became a regular meeting place for these groups. Formerly dangerous, today a meeting with a guardian of order can be a very polite and friendly conversation. We visited one in this house where no address is shown.
Yes, we patrolled the Hill of Crosses. However, we never fully realized the reasons behind it. We were on patrol, but we did not direct the action. We executed orders. We only did what we were ordered by the Interior Ministry, or more often, the KGB. It was they that told us what to do. Reactionary tactics intensified in the last 5 years of Brezhnev's rule. The reason for starting the patrol was simple enough: to prevent people from building crosses, especially with anti-Soviet inscriptions, for religious holidays or some other memorable dates linked with Lithuania's statehood, such as February 16th, Lithuanian Independence Day. I carried 3 crosses. I took the first one from Landsbergis, where I was the priest for 5 parishes. I walked 60 kilometers through 5 parishes with bare, bleeding feet. It was in October, but I don't recall the year. I started at 9 p.m. After 13 hours at 10 a.m., I eventually reached the hill. I had this intention, as a priest and a believer, to ask for God's help so that our friends would leave, and my homeland would be free. The demolitions were carried out over a long period, between 1960 and 1977. Local communist activists from Šiauliai planned to destroy the monument. Bulldozers were used to pull down the crosses. They were taken to Soviet military bases and burned. Incredibly, new crosses would appear the same night. If not for the Soviet demolitions, I might not have built another cross. I am not sure about that. But when they started to pull them down, it created a wave of opposition among believers. Most of the cross builders were among a group called the Eucharistic Friends. The people who used to build crosses were very patriotic. They took a great risk since they knew about the possible consequences. If a car drove to the Hill of Crosses, its license numbers would be recorded in special files. The owners would be found later on. There were certain repressive measures taken against such persons. Nevertheless, the people would continue to put up crosses. Not a simple cross was built without an intention. Some were erected in gratitude, others in request of something. They were built in the name of people and independence, to atone for the sins of the nation, to fight alcoholism and preserve families. We prayed as we planted the cross.
My grandson was dying, and the doctors told us that there was no hope. He had encephalitis. He was running a very high temperature, and he was already blind. I remembered the Hill of Crosses, and I said, "Lord, you will make my grandson healthy." I promised to take him there. He was only 9 months old. My grandson did not die, so I carried a cross to the hill. God heard our prayers.
Važiuodavom į talkas. Kiekvienais metais gegužės 2.
Every May 2nd, we would go there to do some cleaning work. We repaired the crosses so that they would stand as long as possible. We would celebrate a mass there, followed by a common meal. The KGB agents would be sitting in their cars, so I would take them a sandwich and a cup of coffee. "We are praying," I would say, "while you are waiting for us to finish. You must be very hungry. Treat yourself to some food. We are Catholics, and we share our meals." Then they would drive and park their cars further away.
Again, the Hill of Crosses was stripped bare. Following the last demolition in 1975, people from all over Lithuania, as well as from other neighboring countries, including Latvia and Russia, brought crosses. To avoid detection, some were floated up the Kulpe River. The residents of Šiauliai persisted in the national resistance. One center of resistance organization was the apartment of Mečislovas Jurevičius. From here, the freedom fighters carried 19 crosses to the top of the hill. One cross, 3 meters long, they carried for the forgiveness of sins of the nation and for those who destroyed the hill. It was a calm May evening, 1973. They prepared themselves for the road.
Everything seemed all right. We then came to our apartment and suddenly one of the young men said, "The KGB knows everything." My father told them. Our mood changed immediately. What shall we do? We told the young people not to go with us. But they said, "Do you think we are just princes and princesses?" Not a single person went home. All of us carried the cross.
These young people knew that as a consequence of their action, they could have been banned from their studies. As for Mečislovas, as one of the central organizers of the event, the punishment could go even further, to Siberia. He was only too aware of the significance, having already spent 6 years in a labor camp. Eventually, he would be sentenced for another 3 years.
A kepurė, kur yra kepurė. Kelnių nėra dar, kad tu tik tai vieną švarką atneši.
You performed great deeds. Do you feel like a hero? I don't feel that I've done something special as a Lithuanian and Catholic. Sometimes, when I am alone, I wonder where my strength came from. For example, in labor camps, the body is locked, but the spirit remains free. You have more time to meditate. You still have your prayers. I never prayed so fervently as in the detention ward.
Буду надеяться, что это осуждение, если ты уже сформировал, так, с трудом он пробился большинство, так сказать, говорят, кончай.
Aktas priimtas, sveikinu aukščiausiąją tarybą, sveikinu Lietuvą.
Lithuania was the first of the Soviet republics to declare full independence on March 11, 1990. The head of state became Vytautas Landsbergis. September 6, 1991, the Supreme Soviet recognizes the Baltic states' independence. How significant was the Hill of Crosses' contribution to Lithuanian freedom?
It was one of the places where a silent struggle for human values was going on. The Hill of Crosses was also a witness to the fight between good and evil. The good force emerged as the winner there. It won in a very special way.
The Kremlin twice vetoed his request to visit Lithuania. It was also the first former Soviet republic that Pope John Paul II chose to visit in September 1993. He would later refer to the Hill of Crosses as the Colosseum of the 20th century.
Well, you know, in the days of persecution, the Hill of the Crosses was a focal point of witness, of prayer, and even resistance to, you know, an anti-religious ideology. Since then, times have changed. Lithuania has become part of Europe, and it faces the same problems as the rest of the church in Europe. You know, the modern secular spirit, which is very aggressive and anti-church, and this extraordinary commercialization of human affairs that goes with it. Well, you know, in the old days, people would come and bring a cross and plant it on the Hill of the Crosses. Today, the opposite is taking place in a symbolic way. The young people have to pick up a cross from the Hill of the Crosses and take it into a parish in every city and in every town of Lithuania. And in all our project work, we're trying to support this dynamic spirit of these young people that are called to the priesthood or to be sisters or to work in lay movements. And we are helping them so that, the charism that the Lithuanian church has enriches not only Lithuania, but all of Europe as well. That is our hope.
Where are the people who risked everything they had? They did not manage to jump onto the train heading towards power and authority. They are not among the loud-mouthed politicians. They were constantly terrorized by the KGB. I know that Jurevičius is very ill now. Petkevičius also leads a simple life. They were honest, quiet people.
We shall not be able to work together for our common future, for Lithuania's future, unless we get over the serious wounds of the recent past and unless we have that basic trust in one another. The cross would then be like a bitter lesson of suffering that does not lead to resurrection.